Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be going through my VCT Pacific power rankings. I'm going to be ranking all 11 teams into these 5 tiers. I'll be updating this throughout the season, every week, just going through, doing the exact same exercise. I'll also be doing full schedule predictions before the season starts for each region. I think I've already done EMEA by this point. Not exactly sure, but because I'm recording these all like in a weird order as well beforehand. So I've done EMEA power rankings. I'll be doing full schedule predictions for every region, as well as America's power rankings coming out after this. So go check those out whenever they come out, whatever. And yeah, if you enjoy, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Let me know how you would rank these teams in order and everything like that. And yeah, without further ado, let's get right into it. All right, so starting here with the bad tier. Our first team, DFM, last place. Not much to talk about here. Other than the fact that I don't think they're by far the worst team in the world this year. Like, they were last year. Like, yeah, Crew also went 0-9, but that team was significantly better than DFM. And so I think MIBR also was, because they actually like had some weeks where they played well and everything like that. Like, you could say maybe not even Carmine Corp, because like they weren't that bad at the end of the year. I don't know. This team was just horrendous last year. And I think a lot of this hope for DFM for me comes from May himself. I think he's a very, very good duelist player and a very big piece to build around for this team's future. Now, is he going to win them games? No, because he's not that good. He's not fucking like something. Like if this team had something, I'd say they could win some games. But yeah, he's not that good, but I mean, if he gets more support around him, better players around him, I think you could really start getting a good roster here for this team. So again, not a ton to talk about. Moving on now to Bleed. A lot more to talk about here with this team. I'll say that. They drop Crazy Guy, drop Egoist, and bring in Zest and Retla. I think on paper, like at first glance, like yes, those are 2 upgrades. As individuals, I think they're both better than the players that they're replacing. And Zest is a world-class initiator player. But this team does not have an IGL, and a team that already struggled with like just pre-round planning, and even like the mid-rounding wasn't that good and everything like that. So I don't know how much better not having an IGL is going to make you, but whatever. And bringing in somebody who doesn't, or from what I know, doesn't speak English and Zest, it's so much chaos here for this team. Scary's probably calling, and then we'll end up making him look worse as an individual, which he's their only he's their hard carry pretty much, and not having that is going to be not great for this team. And then I think the elephant in the room with this team is Ye, who has been thrown onto multiple weird roles, which I didn't love, I'll say. Like the Viper, that was not good. And I think he played better on the Jet and the Neon than he did on the Viper. But also, the Neon was horrible, like genuinely terrible. And even if he plays well on just Chamber and Jet, that's going to make everything else about this team look worse around him. So I have zero faith in this team to do anything. So I don't know. Maybe they could use some individuals to get through games, and I think they probably will, but I have no faith that this team is going to end up looking anything better than maybe the 8th place team in Pacific. And then on to the next team here. We have Global in this not bad but close to it tier, kind of alone here. I didn't really know how to rank this team because I don't think they're quite as good as the teams in the next tier above them. I don't even think they're that close, honestly. And they're a little close to these teams below them, but I do think they are clearly better. Like, I don't think you could really make an argument that Bleed or DFM are better than Global. But they just suck. Like, straight up. I got a lot of shit for putting them low in my initial like preseason power rankings, which shocked me, but they proved me right. Polvi, I think he looked better than I expected, but like in terms of ranking wise as a duelist, I I don't think anything really changed. I think maybe I moved him up one spot. I'd have to actually look at that. I thought Blaze King looked fine on the Initiator. Still would like him on the Sentinel more. I don't know. It just doesn't make sense to me why he's playing the Initiator. And then I think the main thing with this team is firepower, but like it's self-inflicted. Like they brought in two IGLs here in Russ and Benkai. Lightning Fast, who is not good. Is just no comment. And I think like if they wanted to bring in Benkai, I don't know what the point of bringing in Russ was, or the other way around. Like it's everything I said about this team leading up to the season, where it's like even if Blaze King, Polvi, and Lightning Fast are good, th- like they're not going to be good enough to carry Russ and Benkai throughout the season. Like Benkai's a good individual for an IGL, but he's not IGLing here. So I don't know. It just doesn't make sense to me. This team is in a really weird spot. I think there's a good chance they end up just blowing up the roster again after this season. And yeah, I don't know. I just chaos with this team, as most of the teams at the bottom here. All right, and then next up here, we have Talon coming in the potentially frisky tier. They started off super hot. Governor looked like one of the best duelists in the world in that opening game versus Team Secret. But as the tournament went on, the team play and kind of the individual form kind of fizzled out, and they kind of reverted more towards what we expected, maybe a little bit better still. But like overall, I do think you do have a lot of hope after kickoff for this team, just because of how good they looked in that first game, and they kind of competed in the other two games. So it's not like they got destroyed in the other games. I do have some concerns about Surf kind of being like activated. Like he's an active player as a sixth man, and they kind of trolled their roster a little bit last year, bringing in Patty Pan. I do think there is some potential for trolling there, so I don't love that. Um, but overall, I do think they had a lot of creative ideas and have good individual players. So they should be able. It should be a team that's able to punch up in certain weeks, but also a team that could lose to maybe some teams below them. Then we have Team Secret coming in next. I mean, just the complete opposite of Talon. They started off horribly in that first game. I mean, they played each other obviously, but dude, that game was one of the worst games of all of kickoff. Like I was so upset at that game. But they woke up after the DFM game and started playing a lot better after that. I mean, Envy is one of the best players in Pacific, hands down. And I don't feel strongly about any of the other pieces here. I think they're all like average and will be fine. Outside of Warbirds, their coach, I think he's incredible. I think this team is just going to end up being so average that people are going to want more from them, but they're not really going to lose to any teams below them. So it's not like they're not going to fail to meet expectations, but they're going to fail to exceed them as well, which is going to make people wanting more. And then they'll probably make some roster changes at the end of the year, like maybe one for one swap or something like that. But overall, I don't think Team Secret's going to be a good team. I don't think they're going to be like bad, as I think that whole conversation just sums up. All right, now onto our great teams tier. This is the biggest tier out of, I think, any tier in any region. So starting here with RRQ. I mean, moving down one spot here feels a little disingenuous. I'm not as enamored with this roster as I was before the season, which is part of the reason why they're moving down. I thought Estrella was a little disappointing. Elmimore was kind of bad, I'd say, at kickoff. But overall, I do still have faith in this team. I think they improved a lot throughout all of last year. They have the same coaching staff, same IGL, so that could happen. That could very well happen. I'd just like to see some of the individuals step up here, and as well as the fact the other form of hope with this team is they were in a group with Paper Rex and Gen.G. Like not much you can really do there. at that point. Then moving on to the next team, we have Zeta moving down 3 spots. Um, I think this is going to be a little bit more positive than a lot of people are going to say, and a lot higher than a lot of people are going to rank Zeta. But I did have them as one of, I think, top 2 or 3 in Pacific heading into the year. Well, they're moving down 3 spots and they're 5th, so at them second. I don't know. I still really like a lot of the individual players here. Laz, Depp, Sugar, Uren, and Hiroran all played well individually, I think. The issue with this team is their macro play and just like mainly adapting throughout the game and changing their game plans was just so bad. I mean, as it always has been with this team. And to really have hope for this team to be a top half team in Pacific, even like this roster is really good. But you'd need to have faith that they're going to turn that around, like be able to adapt mid game, respond when another team changes something up, which you thought that they were going to fix, bringing in a non-Japanese coach, but clearly not. And I have a hard time seeing this team finishing much higher than this, unless they really fix that. And if they do, then I think they could be that top 2 team in Pacific, but I just can't see it right now. Then we have DRX. I feel like the talk on this team has been really negative for how like fine they looked at kickoff. Like, yeah, sure, they got kind of fucked against Gen.G in terms of like losing a bunch of eco rounds, all that kind of stuff. But like bringing in Foxy and Flashback, 2 really young players who I thought played pretty well, and getting 4th in Pacific or 3rd, 4th in Pacific, getting 1 game off of Madrid when the team that they lost to got into the finals. That just doesn't make too much sense to me. They are adding in a new academy player as like a 6th man or somebody who's going to play. I'm not really sure exactly what's happening there. So that should be interesting, I guess. Hopefully they don't troll like they did last year, but I think there's a decent chance that they just end up doing the fucking Zest Foxy 9 thing with Buzz and this new guy. So I don't know. I hope they don't do that, but I feel like they might. And overall, I think this team has a lot of hope. I just need to see them make more improvements, which I have seen them make throughout the course of like the offseason into now. But I think they just need to improve a little bit more if they want to compete internationally. Is my main concern with this team. I think they'll be fine within Pacific, but once you get to those international events and the competition gets harder, then you start to have some concerns about them. Then we have T1. Not really a ton to be worried about here. I think they're like these 2 teams, T1 and DRX, you could say that are in their own tier from Zeta and RRQ, which I wouldn't really argue with. But I thought Excurate looked really good, as well as Izu, the 2 new kind of, maybe not young with Excurate. I don't know how young he is. But the 2 players there looking really good. I thought Rossi was really good as well. But I do have a little bit of concerns if Viper gets nerfed, because she's already gotten some like shadow nerfs that nobody from Riot talked about, with like the how long her wall can be up and whatnot. But like if Viper falls out of meta, I'm concerned if he can play any other agents at a high level. Not saying he can't, it's just a concern. And I thought the calling with this team was good, but it wasn't like competing with international like Americas and EMEA teams good. I thought it was like good enough to compete in Pacific, which is why they're not in this international contenders tier. Like maybe some of these, I mean, like Paper X and Gen.G are. Not gonna like act like it's a surprise that those 2 teams are in the top tier, but yeah. Moving on. So now on to our final tier of Gen.G and Paper Rex. Now, I know people are not going to like me ranking Gen.G second below Paper Rex. Like, yeah, they finished over them in Madrid, and overall looked a lot better in Madrid. I will not lie. But actually, we'll talk about the positives of Gen.G first. I think they are the best like raw fundamental team in the world in terms of their trading, their team play, everything like that. I think they are by far the best in the world at that. Um, I think their calling throughout the course of the tournament improved a lot with Munchkin. I think Texture and Charon were two of the best individual players in the world. Munchkin and Lakia were hitting throughout the tournament. Specifically Munchkin. I think Lakia was more in like the clutch moments, was really good. And I don't really think there's a ton of weaknesses for this team. Like they should be back. I just do have a little bit of concerns with them like getting back to maybe the finals. Specifically with like Meteor, who's probably their third most important player in terms of individual games. He kind of fizzled out in the big moments, like especially throughout the grand final. He started to get worse. But I think he should be insane enough in the other games and not like horrifically bad in those big pressure games to the point where like Texture, Kara, and Munchkin can't carry them through those games. I think like there is a little bit of concerns if they can do this again at the same form, because there have been teams in the past, maybe like Talon last year, who played really well at lock-in. I mean, I can't think of any examples off the top of my head, like the Guard, teams like that, where like they kind of fizzle out, but they're not like bad after that. I mean, Talon was bad, but the Guard wasn't bad. Like I don't think Gen.G will be like bottom half in Pacific bad, like fizzling out, but maybe like top 4 kind of thing. And I don't know. I think with them in Paper Rex, Pacific is in very good hands internationally. Even with T1, who I think with some more improvements could, and more time together, could look really good internationally. But with Paper Rex, I'm really glad I procrastinated recording this video because of this. But they're adding Jing back. Like, that is the main reason they're number 1. I had them number 1 before that. Just because throughout the course of the tournament, they improved so much with Meunier. I think they were the most improved team from the beginning of kickoff to the end, even though Gen.G did finish higher and Sentinels did finish higher. And with this team, historically, I find it hard to believe that they're not going to be the best team in Pacific. I could be wrong. Other teams can finish over them. But I think at the end of the day, they will finish the highest in these international events specifically. Even if maybe one of these teams wins the split for them, I think as long as they qualify for the international event, they don't care. So yeah, that's it for my power rankings. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Which teams I placed too high, which teams I placed too low. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.